The weekly armchair kickoff is rebranding and expanding. We are now the weekly armchair sports talk. It's going to be your home for sports content for the fans and by the fans. More sports, more guests and more talk, covering all aspects of football, WWE, basketball, MMA and much, much more. That's the weekly armchair sports talk, coming soon.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. This is the United Advocate, and we're here today to talk all things Manchester United. And we're here to preview Manchester United versus Everton in the Premier League. Again, another half-12 kickoff in the Premier League for Man United at home. Fuck you. That's all I'm going to say on that one. I hate these kickoffs. Because whatever way the game goes, if we lose, it could absolutely ruin our weekends. Look, that's the first thing I'm going to say about the half-12 kickoff. I am joined today by my co-host, as always, Mr. Reece Russell, and also we are joined by Matt Smith, our Everton fan from A Week of Football podcast. And here today, we're here to talk Manchester United versus Everton. So as always, guys, do smash like in the video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification on your way as well, and you will get all the notifications as we do go live on our other football podcasts as well. First of all, going to come to Matt. Welcome, Matt, to Devil's Advocate, our Man United show. Great to have you on. First of all, before we dive into all football sort of things, just talk to our viewers just about your own podcast. I've been on there myself, A Week in Football.
Yeah, so it's just first of all, thanks for having us on again. I really appreciate it. The Week in Football podcast is basically just myself and a friend. He's a big Liverpool fan. I'm a big Everton fan. And we used to send back and forth big, long voice note WhatsApp messages to each other, like 4 or 5 minutes long. And we just said, why don't we just stick this onto a podcast and see if people like it? And so far, so good. We're in our second season now. And we're just basically going back and forth off each other, having a bit of banter against each other. And I had a bit of crack there when Brentford got the 3-3 draw against Liverpool, and Everton battered the mighty Norwich. So it was good. It was a good weekend for me. So, yeah, it's A Week in Football. We do one podcast every week. It's nothing really too heavy or anything like that. It's about an hour long, maybe 45 minutes long. So it's just basically just a chat between two mates. That's all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, keep up the good work. The podcast I was on there myself. When I was on, we talked about the matter of the protests happening at Old Trafford, which yeah, we won't get into that one. That was a hectic occasion at Old Trafford there a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, do check out their podcast, guys. It is available on their audio podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Do check that out. We'll drop it in the video link description as well. Reece, haven't talked to you in quite some time. It's been a while. How are you feeling today? How's the form?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Just watched Sean Talk of the Devils. Thought it was a good pod. Good discussions there, discussing obviously last night and discussing the upcoming weekend. And also, I agree about A Week in Football. I listen on Spotify, so I do concur. I do listen every week, so it's definitely a good pod to listen to. But overall, I'm fine, mate. How you doing?
Good. Been a long week. Have been working. Been podcasting, as you know. And yeah, look, it's Man United are on tomorrow. You're on the big screen. Amy's birthday tomorrow. We're going on a night out, so it's kind of, big weekend ahead.
Happy birthday, Amy. Happy birthday, Amy.
Happy birthday, Issue Lingard 14.
She's gonna love that one. Love that one. But look, may as well jump into it straight away in terms of talking about things Manchester United. First of all, obviously, look, we had a rematch from our Europa League final defeat and last season in this week in Villarreal at Old Trafford. 2-1 win. Look, again, a game that was up and down, really. If you're a Man United fan, your head probably would have been all over the place after the first half. But then come the 90th minute when Cristiano Ronaldo scores that winner, all that kind of goes aside for that kind of couple of minutes of euphoria when he scores in front of the Stretford end and there's just a massive roar and just the atmosphere in Old Trafford was electric. Reece, what was your overall thoughts in the game, the results, and just your overall feeling as a fan after watching us get, I suppose, revenge on Villarreal from the Europa League defeat?
Well, I was on a watch along, funnily enough, for the game. I got invited to watch along, so I was doing that. And throughout the game, it was at times just getting really nervous because I was thinking, like, how are we going to handle it? Because for that game, with all due respect, we had the better players in terms of quality, but Villarreal, like the amount of chances they had, they were carving us to pieces. It was quite scary to watch, really, in terms of like, are they actually going to score? But once they finally scored, I felt like we picked up a little bit more after that. The intensity, we were only behind for about 7 minutes, so it's not too bad, but it could have been more if we hadn't taken our chances. But I think overall the game, I think it was good result for us. I think the result was more important than the performance, and we need to turn the result now into better performances long term. It just depends on where we go, but overall, I felt we could do a bit more. We could do better. I think that's an honest fan's comment, but there's some things to work on. There's some plenty of positives as well, but the big one is obviously we won that game, and now we just need to build on it.
Yeah, most definitely. I think if you look at the opening 10 minutes of the game, I thought we were outstanding. We pressed well, though we were very energetic. We did attack. We looked dangerous. Villarreal then, probably for the rest of the second half, looked like the more dangerous team. Was a bit end-to-end. But they had the better chances. I think David De Gea, I think, fair play to me, showed the form of 2018 in that game. He looked like back to his best. To be fair to him, he's been like that all season. I questioned him last season, not going to lie. I'm not going to be two-faced and say I didn't question him. Didn't question his time at Man United. I did. I most definitely did. But to be fair, like since the start of the season, he's been quite consistent. He's been on good form, and look, he's starting to show glimpses of his normal self. Now, that can also be a reflection on how many chances we're conceding. Obviously, as well, you can look at it from that side. How we concede this many chances with the quality we have. There's always two sides to every story. But look, I'm delighted about his performance. But if I look at the overall game itself, I think, look, it was a game of two halves. I think you look at that first half, not great by any stretch. I think you look at Villarreal, they did dominate us for the most part. And look, I think we're lucky to do it in the half to be still in the game. Because Villarreal did create a lot of chances. I said it myself on Twitter. I was like, if Gerard Moreno was playing that game, we're about 3 or 4-0 down at halftime. There's no doubt about that. We're about 3 or 4-0 down at halftime. But he wasn't. That wasn't a situation. We come out in the second half. We concede a goal. Diogo Dalot wasn't great for the goal. But look, it was one of these things where, we can see why Ollie doesn't start him. I think he can see why he doesn't get much game time ahead of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think Tuesday night it was evident. Look, I think when you look at that second half, we showed a great response when we went to goal down. I think that's very important. I think people can talk about how bad we were when we conceded the goal, which, look, I agree. Yeah, 100% we were very bad for it. But if you actually look at the response since then, we went out, we got the equaliser, which is, I know it was a great goal by Alex Telles. Brilliant strike. Looked like something off the training ground. Him and Bruno were communicating with each other before the goal. Great ball. I think if anyone's seen the video on Twitter, where the United fan behind the goal, when he's seen the ball being whipped in to Alex Telles, he said, "What the fuck was that?" And then Telles drives it in bottom corner, like live on video. If you want to talk about cotton 4K, that's literally it. But yeah, great finish, great goal by Telles, and great way to open up your Man United account by any stretch. Right in front of Stretford End with that finish. So absolutely brilliant from Telles. But then we get to the next part of the second half where Cavani comes on. I think Cavani, Lingard, and Nemanja Matic coming on were great. They gave us something different. Matic gave us control in midfield. Cavani's work rate. If anyone, just remember that part of the game, the second half, where Matic tries to play a through ball to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo didn't get there, was played well ahead of him. We thought that was dead and buried. Cavani goes one into the box, the other beats one fight to it, gets the ball, and helps us create a chance. Like, that work rate is sensational. I love Cavani. He's great for that. But then we see Lingard coming on, his presence in the box in terms of his movement and his subtlety for that touch for Ronaldo for that goal. I thought was outstanding. And Jesse Lingard's quickly shown this season why he's a vital squad player. And his goals, his assists, albeit the young boys game, he got the assist at the wrong end. But when you look at Lingard's overall contribution, he's done quite well. So I think there's a lot of positives to take from the game, but also quite a lot of negatives as well. But I think it's glass half full, half empty situation. We look at that Villarreal game, because there's things evident there where sure weaknesses, but our strengths are still there in terms of goal scoring, in terms of being there to the end. And I think that's massively, massively important if you want to to progress. Now, obviously at the back, I think we're still shaky. I think there's still things need to be ironed out there, especially defending set pieces, being on the counter attack. I think defensive midfielder is probably a topic on Knights fans, which I think we're all getting sick of talking about, is that defensive midfield position and how it's detrimental to our season. I think, look, that is obviously going to be a talking point for weeks going on. But look, I think you have to look at it and say, you take the 3 points, it's a snatch and grab, and you move on.
Yeah.
Because in previous times, post Sir Alex, we don't win that game. If that's under Jose Mourinho, Louis Van Gaal, we do not win that game. I can tell you that much. David Moyes, we don't win that game. This is showing no shade, like showing shade on them or bigging up Ollie. But if you look at this current squad comes back, and it comes back and it shows there. Now, sometimes we might show the quality and abundance, but we show character. I think to be successful at any level, you need to show character. And if you have the quality there, that comes with that too. But character is very important to be thereabouts. So this team does that 100%. Matt, I'm going to come to you in the game. Obviously, from an outsider's point of view, probably an entertaining game to watch because there was just chances at both ends, and it looked like United were dead and buried kind of at one point. What was your thoughts on the overall game between United and Villarreal in the Champions League?
Well, when I was growing up, I always used to watch United on the Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the Champions League and stuff like that, because Everton were never going to get into Europe. Let's face it. So I used to always watch like the David Beckham era and the Roy Keane and stuff like that, and it kind of reminded me of one of those games where the Fergie time winner and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I didn't think the goal should have stood. The last goal, Ronaldo's goal, should have stood. I think, if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, between Everton and Manchester United, Everton had a late winner ruled out for the exact same thing. The Gylfi Sigurdsson was lying on the ground and apparently blocking the keeper's view in an offside position. It was the exact same thing, and Everton's goal was ruled out, and the match ended 2-2. But it was that aside, I think, like you said about Manchester United having a bit of character, in the last few games they've shown that they've had a bit of character. Against West Ham in the league, they showed character to come back and win that game as well, although West Ham missed the penalty and stuff like that. And even the Aston Villa game, they came back with a bit of character to get the penalty, although they missed the penalty. They've shown a bit more character, shown a bit more belief in themselves. I think in terms of United as a team, I don't think they're playing as a team. I think there's a lot of individuals in that team. I think obviously Ronaldo was absolutely outstanding. Greenwood as an individual is outstanding player. Pogba, all these lads are all absolutely fantastic. Like you said already, David De Gea probably having one of his better seasons already for United. But they just don't seem to be gelling well. They're kind of relying on moments of brilliance from individual players. Obviously the first goal they scored with Bruno crossing the ball into Telles, that was two individual moments of brilliance. And then obviously the goal at the end was a bit scrappy. But if Ronaldo hadn't been in that team, United wouldn't have won that game. I think there was no other man other than Ronaldo to do that for Manchester United. And listen, it did remind me of the mid to late 90s of United getting the last gasp winner in Europe under the lights under Alex Ferguson. So listen, like you say, it wasn't their best performance, but 3 points take them, because they're probably needed around this time as well after the last couple of disappointing results he's had.
Yeah, definitely. I think you look at the young boys' defeat in the Champions League. We did need them 3 points, because Atalanta, they obviously got the win against young boys in the Champions League. We have them in double header next. I think that was very important that we got 3 points, because that away game in Atlanta, that is going to be a tough one. They play great football. They could play into our hands also with the way they play, with our strengths. It remains to be seen, but I'm very excited to see us play them, because that contrast and styles of play will be interesting. I think you're right, though. I think sometimes we do lack cohesion, especially in midfield. I think our midfield play, sometimes the patterns of play can be very patchy, and it's always kind of little moments, individual brilliance, as I said, a la Pogba, Fernandes in midfield to kind of put in a great ball for Ronaldo. But I think, like, if you look at this football now we're playing, I think there's still time for this team to gel, because we brought in new players like Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo, they're very new to the team. Their strengths have to be utilised. I think we won't, as we discussed off camera, I said to you, I don't think we'll see the best of Jadon Sancho until the next couple of weeks. I still think he's coming into his stride. We've Marcus Rashford to come back into this squad, which I think a fully fit Marcus Rashford walks into this team. To be quite honest, if you look at his record through injury, his goal scoring record at Man United has been exceptional through injury. Now he's fully fit after surgery, and all them injuries have been ironed out. I think it's very exciting to see who plays in that right hand side, because I think Rashford is one of Ollie's tried and trusted players. He's going to walk back into this team when he comes back. I think Greenwood and Sancho have a very exciting battle on their hands to see who starts on that right hand side, because obviously Sancho is that that £70 million player who's been signed, but Greenwood's that academy prodigy. There's two sides to the coin, but both of them are two quality players. So it's going to be very exciting to see kind of where them two players kind of fit in and where they are now when Marcus comes back. Obviously, there's players like Anthony Martial who do have their quality, who can contribute, but with Jesse Lingard there in his form, Martial's kind of falling down the pecking order, especially with Edison coming back. And again, just to mention, Edison's work rate to win back that ball,
it's incredible,
epitomized a Man United player. That's Wayne Rooney type of stuff. Matt, being an Everton fan, Wayne Rooney would do that week in, week out. He'd be chasing down lost causes. That's what Cavani does. And again, that you want players like that in your team. And I think we have a great mix of players. It's just getting that balance right. I think Ollie needs to do that quickly, because we have this tough run starting with tomorrow. We've Everton next, Leicester City, and then we've Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool in these next couple of weeks. This is where this squad's going to be tested, physically, but also mentally, because it's going to be our toughest run of fixtures, and it's going to be a season-defining month this October. There's no way sugarcoating it. It's going to be season-defining, and this is where these big money players, they're going to show how good they are, and this is where the manager is going to show that he can get these players, going, and it's going to be very exciting to see. Reece, kind of looking at the game on Wednesday. Obviously, a clip has been surfacing around social media. Donny Van De Beek didn't come on Wednesday. Fred and Lingard are brought on. Fred was obviously brought on because Tella's got a bit of a knock, on Wednesday, and Fred had to come on as a kind of a makeshift left back. Lingard comes on because the reign of form he's in, which is, I think, is an understandable choice given his contributions in the last couple of weeks. A video surfaces of Donny Van De Beek throwing chewing gum, ripping his bib off. He looked visibly unhappy coming off the bench.
And dragged by his shirt.
That picture is fake.
That was
picture of Donny Van De Beek.
I seen something, but I thought it was funny. Getting dragged by his shirt. I was like, did I not realize he actually is one of us?
No, that picture is fake. That picture is fake.
Is that meme? Is that a meme? I was like, that's just so funny when I seen it. Like,
I was actually a fan, but anyway, I know what you mean. But looking at the situation of Van De Beek, obviously, you look at the positions he plays. He plays as a number 8 or a number 10.
Yeah.
Look at the way we're playing at the moment. We're playing Pogba now in the 8, and we're playing Fernandes in the 10 role. Donny's minutes have been limited. But in my opinion, he's a victim of circumstance when you look at Pogba in that position and Fernandes in that position. In midfield, our two most productive players in these last 12 months. Do you agree that Donny is a victim of circumstance, or do you think, a lot of fans calling for him to start in the 6, which for me I find ludicrous, to be brutally honest about. He's played a handful of games there in a less competitive league. I think it would be football suicide to play Donny, Bruno, and Paul Pogba in the same midfield together. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I only seen him play in the 6 role a few times. Once for the Dutch team, and I think they lost. But that wasn't down to him. It was just the fact they lost that game. And I only seen him once in the Eredivisie. I think it was against Utrecht. But they won that game. But most of the times I watched him play, he was in the number 10 role. But
yeah,
I agree, circumstance, because he's not going to get ahead of Bruno or Pogba unless they're suspended or injured, and it's not his fault. They're just supremely talented players, and quality-wise, they're heaps and bounds ahead of him. But he is a good player, and I think he has to bide his time. I understand, like, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to react in such a way, and at times it's a good trait to have because it shows you're committed and you really want to play, but you're not always going to play. And I seen comments yesterday that really made me laugh, and this afternoon, people were moaning about Fred coming on because Fred went to left back. I was like, well, Fred's going there just
Donny to come on left back, this is where I find it hard, Reece. So these people want Donny to come on left back.
They want him to come into that middle and show himself, but I'm like, what are they expecting to do? Like he'll get on when he needs to get on. But the whole, like, I seen people moan because Fred got on, but Fred got on purely to play that defensive position. He wasn't there to attack or nothing. He was there to defend. Just brilliant that he hit a brilliant cross. But overall, I look at it and I think Donny will get his time. Yes, he is the victim of circumstance. But another thing as well, I don't know if people are going to consider it, but I don't see what happens at Carrington, but there must be something at Carrington. The likes of Darren Fletcher, Kieran McKenna, Michael Carrick, they must look at that and they think there must be something on the pitch that goes, is he given 100% week in, week out to actually deserve a place? I don't know. I don't see what goes on. But something's got to give. And if he doesn't get the game time, then obviously, like I said, I was watching Talk of the Devils and he's made excellent points. And I think one point that you made sense was it relates to Lingard. If he's not going to get the game time, let him go on loan. And obviously, linked to West Ham, he's linked to Everton. I think even for like 6 months to maybe a year and a half, who knows? Like, give him that a little bit of game time where he's in a different team, less pressure at United, but still at the top level. Let him build himself to the Premier League and get used to it. Because you can see from when he plays, he's either really inconsistent and he goes missing, or he plays in a cup game against some really crappy team and he plays great, but he doesn't get the chance to get the next game to build on it. So it's not right for him and it's no fair. But in all fairness, though, it is circumstance because there's better players ahead of him and there must be something on the training ground. Really, I don't know, but that's just much I can think about it. Really.
Yeah, like I think you look at it like again. I look at this case. I think with the future of Donny Van De Beek, I don't think we see this getting sorted out until January. But I had this logic on the Talking Devils podcast earlier on this evening. This is the way I see Donny Van De Beek working out. And this is the situation where I see his future getting mapped out at United. Mm-hmm. Paul Pogba, come December, January, is going to have 6 months left in his contract. If Paul Pogba is leaving in the summer, I guarantee you Donny Van De Beek gets loaned in January to the end of the season. He's going to get loaned to a Premier League club. And he's going to get them minutes in the Premier League to adjust. Mm-hmm. And then Pogba's going to stay. He's going to leave in the summer on a free. And then that's when Donny comes back in. Because evidently he was bought as a Pogba replacement. He wasn't brought in to start ahead of Bruno or Pogba. He was brought in because Pogba was nailed on to leave. And then pandemic hits and, no one could afford Pogba. Madrid, all that shit happened. And obviously Super League things happened. Madrid can't afford anybody. Juventus happened. Juventus are also fucked financially. So they too close who wanted them couldn't buy him. PSG went down and got Messi. That's the reason why Pogba hasn't left Man United. So that's why I think you look at this situation. This how Donny and Pogba's futures are almost aligned. Like if Pogba signs that new contract, let's say by Christmas, January, and his future is sorted out, Donny Van De Beek leaves on a permanent transfer. I've no doubt about that. But Pogba leaves. Donny's going to stay at this football club. Because United are going to want to replace him with Pogba with a DM. And then you can have Donny and Bruno in midfield. I'm under no illusions to that. But you can't play Donny in midfield at a moment with Bruno and Pogba in midfield because we'd ship about 2 or 3 goals a game if you played all 3 of them in midfield.
There's no balance.
Like if anyone wants to do that, if anyone wants to play that midfield 3, go on FIFA or Pro Evolution, Football Manager, whatever footballing game you play, and play that midfield 3 if you want. If you think that midfield 3 works in real life, you either haven't kicked the ball or watched the game properly because that midfield 3 doesn't work. There's no balance. There's no cohesion there. So I think you have to look at this Donny situation and say, let's see what happens to Paul Pogba in January. Let's see if he does negotiate with an overseas club and he leaves to a PSG or Juventus, Real Madrid on a free. And then you can assess. You can assess Donny and say, look, we leave you on loan for these 6 months, get your game time, get your match fitness, adjust to the league, and then, look, come back in the summer, fully fit, ready to go. Look what Jesse done at West Ham. You go to an Everton, you go to West Ham, you go to, I don't know, even go to Spurs on loan, because Spurs need a midfielder. Do you know what I mean? Club like that, he gets better then. Do you know what I mean? He gets used to the league. But, like, again, I think a lot of this Donny Van De Beek situation, I lead it back to people who are also Ollie out. Because the same people who are Ollie out are screaming for Donny Van De Beek to come to the team and Bruno to get dropped. Where's the coincidence in that you want our most productive midfield player to get dropped, for someone who's not tried and tested? I don't get it. But look,
I think another thing as well is I don't know what you think about it. I don't know what you think about this, Matt, but see the people that are begging for Donny Van De Beek to play. And I put this on your Talk of the Devils comment as well. I think he glanced over it, just a quick thing. But the one comment I said was the ones that are begging for Donny Van De Beek to start are going to be the first ones to throw him under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
One mistake,
100%.
and they will throw him under the bus. Whereas myself, where I know he will get the time eventually, I'm like, I will give him the time to assimilate himself into the squad. I do agree. I think if Pogba does go, then he would go in there naturally, and you just get a defensive midfielder, and you've got good control there, because as a technical player, he's got good control of the ball, and he has got a good pass on him as well. He just needs that player beside him. You put Pogba beside him, with all due respect, Pogba's not a defensive-minded player. Donny isn't a defensive-minded player. Yes, he can put a tackle, and so can Pogba, but they aren't defensive. He'll only say he can play a 6 so he can get in the team. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful manner to him, but he did say he can play as a 6. I've watched you twice as a 6, mate, and to be honest, I wouldn't play as a 6. I would rather play as an 8.
Just to ask you a question, just off the topic of Donny Van De Beek, I'm going to get to Matt and Donny Van De Beek in a sec, but would you play Phil Jones in the 6?
Nope. No, I'm not having this. I knew you were going to ask that as well.
I had to bring
God,
it
I
up.
hate you sometimes.
Matt, there's a little movement going between another channel and us. Hashtag Phil Jones in the 6. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen 100%.
I'm all for it.
In the comments, guys, get in there and put in hashtag Phil Jones in the 6. We're going to get there one day. But Matt, what's your overall take on the Donny Van De Beek situation, just from an outsider's point of view?
Obviously, you were saying he was brought in as a Pogba replacement, a potential Pogba replacement. I think maybe he should never have went there in the first place. I mean, there was obviously teams out there suited, unless he was told he was going to be, Pogba was leaving and he was going to be straight into the starting 11 after maybe 6 months to a year if Pogba was leaving. I think he's a very talented player. I think a lot of players look very, very talented and very, very good when they play for Ajax, because, listen, Ajax are basically the Man City or the Chelsea of that league. I mean, they're leaps ahead of everybody else. A lot of Dutch players leave that Ajax team and don't go on to do very well in Premier League, in the Italian league and stuff like that, because the pace of the game is so much different. And like you say, he probably does have to go out on loan to a team to adapt. Apparently, it was nearly all signed, sealed and delivered for Donny Van De Beek to go to Everton on deadline day. And for some reason, it was blocked. And to be honest with you, Everton are screaming out for a player like him to play in a number 10 role, because obviously with what's going on with Gylfi Sigurdsson, we're kind of lacking that creative midfielder in the middle of the park. We have a lot going down the wings now with the Murray Gray and Townsend, which we didn't have last year. But Gylfi Sigurdsson, I mean, I think he had 13 or 14 goals and assists last season, goal contributions. We don't have that midfielder there anymore, so we could have actually done with someone like Donny Van De Beek. Even if he comes in January, I think he'll help someone like Everton immensely for the run into the season, and it will also benefit Manchester United in the long run as well. But just looking at him now at the moment, he's clearly frustrated. He clearly wants to get in and show what he can do. Very limited options, very limited time on the pitch. But like you say, he's not going to get in ahead of Bruno, and he's not going to get in ahead of Pogba. So what do? I think he probably needs to have a chat with Ollie and say, listen, I want to go out on loan, whether it's to a Premier League club. What's my position here? Am I going to be here next year? Are you looking to ship me out? If you are looking to ship me out in January, let's sit down, let's talk it out and find out what's best for both of us. Because I think he still will command a decent fee. I mean, how much did you pay for him? 35 million or something, was it?
35 to 40, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's still going to command probably about the same money, 30 million, 35 million. But listen, I'd be kind of skeptical about spending that type of money on him as well for Everton, because if you remember right, Everton bought Ajax's captain off a Europa League campaign for
David
Ajax
Clapton,
and
yeah.
Davy Klaassen, and we spent 25, 30 million on him, and he was absolutely woeful, and he ended up leaving after
Now
a
he's
year.
back at
So
Ajax.
back at Ajax now, and he's back probably wearing the captain's armband where he should have stayed all along, probably. But yeah, I think I think what you said, Keane, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think if the his future at Manchester United relies on what happens with Pogba. I think if Pogba leaves or signs a pre-contract agreement with Juventus or PSG in January or whenever it is, I think he could end up going out on loan and staying or whatever, like what you said. And if Pogba signs a new contract with Manchester United, I think he's going to leave, if not on loan in January and then permanently in the summer, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most realistic stance you can have on it. I think if you're Donny, I think you have to kind of wait it out now for these next 2 months, because there's nothing you can do between now and January. Like, there's literally nothing more you can do is do a knuckle down, train hard, keep fit, and just be ready to go. You know, if you do go on out in January, because that's what Jesse done last year. Like, Jesse wasn't getting much game time, and then Jesse went out on loan, and look, we've seen what happened with West Ham. He flourished, and then he's had to come back to United. He's proven to be the ultimate squad player for us now. So, look, I think
Back in the
Van de
England
Beek just
squad.
needs to do the same. Yeah,
I was going to bring up as well. Like, look at Donny. He's been exiled from the Dutch squad as well. Van Gaal's told him, "You're not playing, so you're not getting in my squad. Like if you don't play, you're not getting in my team." Like, he's clearly not favoritizing players anymore, which I think, as a national team manager as well, that shows, like, in terms of where they want to go now, get back to where they were. He's literally told them, "If you don't play, you're not getting in my side."
yeah. And I think that's very important for Donny as well. With the World Cup coming next summer, like not next summer, next winter. Do you know, I think for Donny, it's very important, do you know, that he does get back regular first team football, whether that's with United or elsewhere. Because Van Gaal, as you said, like he won't put up with Donny not playing football. He won't pick him. It's just that simple. We're gonna move on to Everton. In terms of how they're going, obviously new manager. Matt was recently on the Talk League podcast here as well with Greg. When Rafa was kind of first coming in, and you were talking about transfers and stuff like that as well. Time's obviously passed, Matt, since then. You've had a decent run in the league since the start of the season. Obviously, Rafa probably wasn't your first choice in terms of managers coming in. Obviously, a former Liverpool man coming in and to take over at Goodison Park. But what's your thoughts on Rafa Benitez coming in at Everton right now, and kind of how do you feel about the appointment so far?
Yeah, listen, I think I'm a kind of a very realistic Everton fan. I think it's probably because I'm not living in the city of Liverpool. I don't really have I'm not getting slagged left, right, and centre when I walk out the door and like that kind of stuff. So I think I'm a bit of a realistic fan in terms of, I was kind of looking at the appointment as, is he still a good coach? Can he coach at this level still? And obviously he's proven that he can. Tactically, he's 10 times better already than what Carlo done with us last year. He's reacted in situations so far over the first 6 or 7 games he's been in charge in the league. We've gone a goal down. He's tactically changed it. He's brought on a midfielder for a centre half. It's kind of like he's reacting to going a goal down, and he's reacting to not sit back and damage limitation in what's like, if we went a goal down before and Carlo would throw on a centre half, and it'd be kind of like, looking, what are you doing? But he's definitely proven me wrong. I don't think he did. I'm trying to think now. When he first got rumoured that he was coming in, I was kind of saying, listen, there's nobody out there better than him that's going to come to Everton. People were saying, go get Conte. Conte's not going to come to Everton. We're finished 10th in the league last season. We haven't had Europe for years. We don't have any money to spend because we're strung up by financial fair play, or not financial fair play, profit and sustainability rules in terms of the Premier League. And to be honest, I don't blame him, because we spent like 600 million in the last 7 years, and I think the most we've got off a player sale was Keane there going back to PSG or back to Juventus. So in terms of what Rafa's done so far this season, I think he's been fantastic. I think there's been a couple of games where he probably got it wrong in terms of starting 11 and stuff like that. I think he got the starting 11 maybe wrong against Aston Villa, but then again, we've been rattled with injuries and stuff like that as well. So, listen, we've 13 points after the first 6 games. I would have snapped your hand off at that. Obviously, we've bigger games coming up, but look, we've had tough away games as well. Like we've had Leeds away, Aston Villa away. Like not everybody can beat Aston Villa, Keane. You know what I mean? So they're a tricky old team to play against. But yeah, listen, 13 points, riddled with injuries. We're gonna get onto our starting 11s, I'm sure, soon, and we'll kind of see how many. If you guys think you are badly hit with Luke Shaw and Maguire, wait and see our injury list because it's not looking good. It's gonna be a game of the Walking Dead tomorrow, I think. So not looking forward to it really.
I said to you off camera, I'm not looking forward to it either because I just get the feel with the last couple of performances, I'm kind of like, I'm not confident as I was at the start of the season. You know, at the start of the season, I was predicting 3-4-0s when Ronaldo first came back to the club. You know, I was predicting we were going to hammer everyone because obviously like CR7 is back, the good feeling is there. But no, look, it's United Everton always produces good fixtures, always produces goals. That 4-4 still haunts me still to this day. It's never gonna leave my mind. It's never ever gonna leave my mind because that cost us a league title. But look, it promises to be a good game. We're looking at, we will talk tactics and stuff like that kind of later on the show. Reece, obviously, just from an outsider's point of view on Everton, on Rafa Benitez, obviously being a former Liverpool manager going there, we've seen a lot of kind of Everton fans not wanting them to go there because obviously the Liverpool link, which look, I'd be the same if a former Liverpool manager come to us, I'd have my reservations.
Rogers.
But he looks like he's done a decent job so far. He looks like he has Everton well organised, very resolute, and they've picked up good results at the start of the season. Are you impressed with how Rafa's come in and kind of weather the storm, especially with injury problems that he's had?
I am impressed. I think I was on the Talk League podcast as well at the time, and I said that like Ancelotti's one of the best managers ever, but Rafa, I think my exact words were Rafa suits them more than Ancelotti does, just because it's the way Everton are, like nitty gritty, defensive, but they'll get at you. And I think Carlo didn't get that. He didn't understand Everton, and I think Rafa Benitez does, only because obviously he lives in the city as well, so he's familiar with it. I think that stands out, and I think he's done exceptionally well with Everton. He's had a lot to bargain with. The fact he got Demarai Gray for $1.5 million is absolutely funny when Bayer Leverkusen bought him for 11.5. I think Townsend's been a good signing. Begovic, I haven't seen much of him yet for them, but it's a signing for Pickford at least. I still think they're lacking a few things, but they are lacking the number 10. I do agree with Matt on that sense. They are lacking someone, but he's changed the system around. Like he's played Richarlison at times as a centre forward rather than as a striker, and I think behind Cavallone, I think that's smart. I think it's similar to how it was at Liverpool at times when he played the midfield of Alonso, and he played Alonso and Mascherano as a midfield too, and then he played Gerrard behind Torres. It's like that sort of vibe. I'm like, he's playing to his strengths, and he wants to use Cavallone's pace behind Cavallone and get the best out of them. But I think you'll see gradually over time he's going to play those two as a front two. I think, I don't know, but once he gets a number 10, you might see something. But no, all credit to him. He's working with financial constraints, injuries. Seamus Coleman's a big loss for them. Charleston Cavallone's a loss. Midfield, I haven't got a clue, but they're not anyway. But yeah, Matt says the Walking Dead. I think you're more like looking at the Talking Dead because they'll be talking about it more tomorrow than actually playing. But yeah, all fair to him. He's done a really good job. Do I think they're going to be a problem tomorrow? I do actually, because it's Everton, and you mentioned the 4-4. That game haunts me. The 3-3 the year before, even though we won the league the year before, that game haunts me. Like Everton against Man United, exciting games, but God, excuse my language, God, they are bastards against us. They are. I respect Everton, but God, they are bastards. But fair play, Rafa.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's so many games we've had where we went to Goodison there even there 3 seasons ago, and they battered us 4-0. Like I remember all these press conference after that game. He's like, "I'm going to be successful here, and there's players who aren't going to be here." And that game, madly, has got a lot of players out of the football club, like Lukaku, Ashley Young, players like that who probably weren't cutting the mustard at United. And that game kind of buried a lot of Man United careers that day. So this fixture does carry its history, does carry big moments, and look, it'd be interesting to see now kind of what happens this weekend, because both teams have something to play for. They're both near each other in the table. Obviously, Liverpool and City playing this weekend. I think we'd want to make a statement. I think that's definitely fair to say. I think when you look at them two playing each other on Sunday, we're already kicked off Saturday. We're playing ahead of everyone else. I think it'd be a very fair point to say Man United need to make a statement this weekend, especially with Everton with the injuries they have. United need to take the initiative this weekend, especially if Andre Gomez, one of their most productive midfielders in terms of energy, in terms of being comfortable on the ball, he's out. If, as you mentioned, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, one of their leaders is Seamus Coleman being out. I know, like being Irish, Matt, we probably know better than Reece. He's probably slowly declining in the last couple of years. I think that leg break is probably after losing that kind of yard of pace in recent times, but he's still a good leader, still a great presence to have on the pitch. The fact they won't have that tomorrow, I think we need to capitalize on that from a Man United point of view. But I think it's just important we do still look at the players that are going to play up there tomorrow. They're going to play Demarai Gray and Townsend, who are coming in narrow against their fullbacks. That could have an effect on us. Obviously, Luca Digne, a left back, he's a very good player who can bomb on ahead of Demarai Gray when he brings the Wan-Bissaka inside. So Varane on that right hand side is going to have to help Wan-Bissaka out in terms of that threat. But I think you look at our 11 tomorrow, we do have to tactically set up in a way where our midfield needs to be set up in the correct way, where we can control the game and control the tempo of the game. Because I think everyone will be happy for the first 30 minutes of the game, where they make it tough for us and they grow into the game. And all of a sudden, Old Trafford gets a bit edgy. And then you have Townsend and Gray getting on the ball and they're running at our defenders. And all of a sudden, bang, a goal goes in. Because it's going to be Lindelof and Varane at centre-back tomorrow. Everyone could really threaten Lindelof. Who's your striker, Matt?
Our starting striker tomorrow is probably going to be Rondon.
Crap.
Do you know what? People might laugh at Rondon, but Rondon has his physical presence. Like, I can see what everyone could do tomorrow. Peel balls up to him, hit Lindelof, and Townsend and Gray play off him. That's exactly what I can see, happening tomorrow. So I think United need to be vigilant in what they do in terms of the way they set up. Like, if we were Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, I'd be a lot more worried about Harry Maguire playing at the back tomorrow. I think with Rondon there, yes, you kind of know what's going to happen. They're going to target Lindelof at the back tomorrow because Rondon can physically outmatch him, no question. I think Rafael Varane tomorrow needs to be there, needs to be solid at the back. Reece, I'm going to actually get your starting 11 for tomorrow. Obviously, look, we're talking about we have a couple of players out. Everton have a couple of players out as well. We get Matt's walking wounded there in a couple of minutes. But Reece, give us your United 11 for tomorrow.
I've got De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka who can defend, Lindelof, Varane, Telles. Telles natural. I think he's going to suit him more tomorrow. Midfield, I've gone for Matic and Pogba. I think you need that control tomorrow, and you need Pogba through the middle. Front four.
We all know one of them anyway.
That's true. Front four, I'm going Sancho on the right, Bruno for the middle. I think this is the game where you really need to take him at the 9 role and use him on the wing. I would put Ronaldo on the left-hand side tomorrow, and I would put Cavani up top. Pretty much the same prediction I had against Villarreal, to be honest. So hopefully Ollie actually listens and uses this one. I think you need Cavani's presence in the middle, because his work rate's elite, his movement is elite, his finishing is fantastic. And
he scored a
Ronaldo's
couple against Everton in all 3 games we played against him last season. He scored in every game we played against Everton last season.
Exactly. It's why I would go with that, but I don't see it happening anyway. That's the front four I would like to see, but I'm good. You would expect Greenwood and Sancho on the wings, Bruno on the 10, and Ronaldo up top. I would like Ronaldo on the wing, let him cut in from the left where he's dangerous, and then Cavani or open space on whoever the centre back partnership's going to be. It would be deadly, but nah, it'll be Sancho, Bruno, Greenwood, Ronaldo. That'll be the front four. So that's what I'll go with.
Yeah, that's not a bad lineup. And to be fair, you could be right. I'm gonna go with De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka. Same back four, but same back five basically. By process elimination, obviously. Even though I'd like to see Boy and Varane beside each other, but I think Lindelof is kind of higher in the pecking order than Boy. So at the moment, I think it's going to be Boy. Sorry, Lindelof and Varane, and then obviously Tellez left back. I'm going to say midfield three. I'm going to go Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. I think that would be in terms of control of the game, in terms of being our most kind of best attacking lineup, but also defensively as well. I think that's actually probably our best midfield, even though people might say McFred defensively is, but that leaves, I think McFred leaves so many holes, like especially Fred gets dragged out of position and we get exposed. Watching that at Old Trafford last week, I got serious PTSD when Fred put a 4-yard pass over the line, like when he actually he couldn't complete a 4-yard pass and passed it out of play. No matter how much drink I had consumed in me and how drunk I was at the game, which I was very drunk, by the way, I was quite pissed at 12:30 in the day. But regardless of how much alcohol I had consumed, I could still see through them beer goggles how poor Fred can be from an offensive point of view, in terms of his passing ability. But despite his cross against Villarreal, which was quite good, I give Reece that one. His cross against Villarreal was quite good, but I still see where Fred lacks. I think the Nemanja Matic is.
I do agree on that.
Like where Nemanja Matic, I think where he lacks legs, his football brain is brilliant in terms of position and his passing, breaking the lines. And it's a Rafa team. Rafa's going to sit back. He's got 2 banks of 4. You're going to need players to break the lines that first passing them. And the Nemanja Matic gives you that. So I'm going to go Matic, Pogba, Bruno. My front three. This is what I'd like to see, but I don't think we'll see it. I'm going to go... I'll go Sancho. No, I won't. I'll go Greenwood on the right. I'll go, obviously, Ronaldo up top. And I'm going to go Jesse off the left. I'm going to go Jesse Lingard off the left. I just think, look, Lingard's form, he warrants a start, whether that's this week or at Leicester. I think Joe Lingard, you've seen his average this season. He's averaged a goal involvement every 45 minutes this season. So, like, that alone, I think, deserves a place in the team. Now, people can argue Jadon Sancho, like, he needs more game time. I agree. You still give him a game regardless this weekend. But I think if you're talking about from the start, I think Jesse could be that player to help us unlock Everton, especially on that right hand side, because who's going to be at right back? It's going to be Sidibe, right back.
Sidibe doesn't play for us anymore.
He's back in France. He's back. Is it going to be Monaco? Godfrey? Yeah. Is it going to be Godfrey?
I'll go through my team now, and I'll kind of explain what I think could happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you give your lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if Rafa goes 5-4-1 tomorrow.
That's what I'm looking at here myself. But basically, Begovic in goal, I don't like. Obviously, he's a decent enough keeper. He's gone around the teams and stuff like that, but he didn't fill me with much confidence in the QPR game where we got beaten. He was kind of a bit sloppy there. Didn't look great with one-on-one stops against Aston Villa and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, it was a bit unfortunate with Digne's own goal, but the ball basically went straight through his hands for Leon Bailey's goal, even though it was a rocket. But he'll probably be in goal because apparently Jordan Pickford is possibly injured. He wasn't in any of the training photos this week, even though he played against Norwich last week, so I don't know what's going on there. Back, I think we will go with a back five. Mina, Godfrey and Keane in the back three. I think Holgate could play right back, but that could be changed. Holgate could go into the middle and Godfrey could go out to the right. I think it all depends on who United have off the left in terms of pace. Both Holgate and Godfrey are rapid players, but I think in terms of roughing somebody up, I think you might want to put Godfrey on the likes of Ronaldo or Jesse, because I think he'll go through Ronaldo the first 5 minutes of the game if he gets a chance. But I think that'll be it. So it'll be Luca Dean on the left, obviously, as well. Now, the problem I'd have with Luca Dean is, especially if Mason Greenwood starts off the right, is that Mason Greenwood, if Mason Greenwood gets a run at Digne, he'll just go by him very quickly. Although Luca Dean has a lot of tactical nous and he's clever with what he does. He kind of gets that extra yard on players before he gets beaten by pace. But I think if there's a massive gap down the right hand side for Greenwood to run into and then cut inside, I think Digne could be in trouble there. But I'm fairly happy enough with our back line. We don't really have any injuries in our back line, so I'm fairly happy enough with it. I think in terms of sitting back, soaking up all the pressure, having Godfrey, Mina, and Keane at the centre backs, they'll do that, and the three of them are quite tall. They'll deal well with the crosses into the box as well. Sitting midfield, they're going to have Alan. He's going to be very, very busy. I feel trying to deal with the likes of Bruno and Pogba in the midfield. I think obviously Townsend on the right, Gray on the left hand side, but I think Everton's only key to success here will be Abdoulaye Doucouré in terms of getting the ball from defence up the field as quickly as possible. Last year, I think I was talking to both. He was actually talking to Keane on our podcast, and I was talking to Reece on the podcast I was on with you. There was no link between defence, midfield, and attack last year for Everton. So it was always just defend, clear the ball up the pitch, let Richarlison run onto it, try and find Dominic Calvert-Lewin down the back alleys. And there was no link to it.
Calvert-Lewin is great in the channels, though. One thing I like about Calvert-Lewin, he's great in running the channels. He's brilliant at that.
Yeah, but it's brilliant doing that. Then he gets the ball, holds it up, and there's no support from. Whereas this year we've added Townsend and Gray. So what I'm kind of hoping is if we do play counter-attacking football, I'm kind of hoping Doucouré carries the ball from his 18-yard box into midfield and then breaks. Because it's a long way to go if you're pinging the ball out to your winger and trying to run 60 yards up the wing, because you're not going to get much there. But the only thing we were missing last year as a squad was pace on the wings, and we managed to get that in. So I think in terms of tactics, I think it's literally going to be like you guys said, sit back, soak up as much pressure, especially in the first half. If we can keep this game 0-0 after 60 minutes and then go for it, I think that's probably what's going to happen. In terms of what United, I think, are going to do is probably just do exactly what the counteract that is, just attack, play the ball around the midfield, crosses into the box as much as they can. I think they might have, like what Reece was saying, if he wanted Ronaldo off the left, I think they might do a lot of swapping. I think players might go, if Ronaldo does go out to the left, he might end up back in the middle, just to try and confuse the Everton back line, crossing back. Like Ronaldo's going to get above all three of those centre halves if a good ball is whipped into the box. So that's the only thing I'm worried about there. And then Solomon Rondon up front. Solomon Rondon was brought in as backup in terms of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's probably going to play the odd 10-15 minute cameos when centre halves were tired. Nobody probably envisaged that we'd have Pickford out injured, Andre Gomez out injured, Richarlison out injured, Dominic Calvert-Lewin out injured. It's kind of the spine of our team. Like, listen, if we had Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit against this United team now, I'd be actually quite confident. I think United lack a lot of confidence at home against teams like Everton, the likes of West Ham, the likes of Aston Villa. They struggle to break them down. And I think if United find themselves a goal down against the likes of Aston Villa, West Ham, Everton, they struggle to get back and win the game. I think Man United are a much, much better team when they're playing against teams on the same level as them. You've seen it against the likes of Man City. You've seen it against the likes of Chelsea. PSG, they've done what PSG can't seem to beat United. So yeah, I think, like you say, Walking wounded tomorrow, it's plus for Everton that Maguire and Shaw are out. But listen, I think a lot of Everton fans on Twitter and stuff are saying if we can sneak a point here, happy days, we'll take that, go into the international break on 14 points, super start to the season. We'll still be unbeaten. We're the only team in the country, in the Premier League, to have a 100% record at home. Only been beaten once against Aston Villa and a decent away record other than that. So listen, I think I'll take a score draw now if you offered it to me. No problem.
Another 4-4.
Yeah, well, if it's going to be a draw, I'd rather be 4-4 than 0-0. I think everybody would rather that. Let's be real. So,
fuck that. I do not want 4 goals conceded.
Yeah, but like, listen, I'm kind of I have a bit of a headache here in terms of my fancy football team. I have Ronaldo as my captain, so I don't know what to do there in terms of. I'll have to have a look at it and maybe switch it over to Salah or something just for
I'm
tomorrow's
after
game.
having a mare the last 2 weeks. My fantasy football, I'm after giving up already, and it's only 1st of October. I'm after having a mare the last 2 weeks.
I played my wild card and all already. My wild card has been played 2 weeks ago, so listen.
Yeah, my wild card and my free hit I'm after getting played, and I still had a nightmare. So I'm done. I'm absolutely finished now on that fantasy football between now and the end of the season. But it's bad, and I'm taking off Fernandes and putting Mo Salah in. That's how I'm scraping the barrel.
That's exactly what I did. I did that. I took out Fernandes, put Salah in, brought Ronaldo in. I got rid of Kane and brought Lukaku in. I have a good team on paper, just it's not performing at all. So we'll see how it goes.
It sounds a lot like Man United.
Yeah.
That's literally what it sounds like.
Sounds like Real Madrid versus Sheriff.
Yeah.
We might have a few Ronaldo/Madrid fans in the comments, so be careful, Reece. Be careful. You might
in terms of Keane, the only thing I was going to say in terms of tomorrow's game, that obviously with all the injuries we have, like 4 outfield players injured and stuff like that, our bench is very weak. I think the only first team player that will be able to bring on tomorrow in terms of trying to change the game would be Alex Iwobi. And I don't think he's the type of player to be bringing on if we're 1-0 down or whatever. So I think when it comes to both teams' benches, I think that's where Man United have a massive advantage over Everton tomorrow. Like to say, I actually disagree with you. I don't think they should start Cavani tomorrow. I think Cavani will be an absolute ideal to bring on 65th, 70th minute. Straight off the bench.
Would be a nightmare.
Absolute nightmare for Everton. Especially Cavani and Ronaldo up top and Bruno doing things, stuff like that. The way it is, lads, right? If Man United turn up tomorrow, it could be a bloodbath for Everton, right? If Man United go 2-0 up before half time, it could be 3 or 4-0. If Everton frustrate them, play well, we have a chance. It's gonna take Everton to have their best ever game, and United to have their worst ever game for Everton to have any chance of winning the game. But listen, they'll take a point all day tomorrow, absolutely 100%, no problem.
And on the back of what Matt just said there in regards to how he thinks the game's going to go, we're going to get score predictions from the whole panel here for this game. It's always my favorite part of the show because more often than not, I'm always showing up by the day after the game. I always get a message saying you got it wrong. So let's see how we get on this week. Reece, give us your score prediction for tomorrow's game.
I'm going 2-1 Man United. I think Sancho will finally open his account. I think Sancho will score tomorrow. And I'm going Bruno to redeem himself. I think Bruno will score a penalty tomorrow. But what I will say on the back of that is if United don't play with a great deal of intensity tomorrow, and I mean consistently, then it will be a draw. But I'm never going to go below that. I think we will win, but we've got to maintain the intensity tomorrow. And
you're not like other fans who are predicting 2-0 losses and 1-0 losses and screaming Ollie out and changing their names to Ollie out.
I'm not going to do that. I think the worst thing we could have tomorrow is a draw. I think that's the worst thing we could get out of it, but it depends on how Everton play, because Everton they're very solid and they are difficult to break down, and that's through the personnel they've got, and it's through the manager, and he's consistent with that over the years. But if we just come out and just take our chances, we're relentless with the ball, we play the ball quickly through the midfield, we can cause problems. And I think that's where it comes down to, is all about the intensity tomorrow. If we are intense, then Everton better start praying to the sun gods, the demigods, all other gods across the planet. They're going to need them, but it just comes down to intensity. If we don't play intense enough, I'm going with a score draw. But if we go for it like crazy, I'm going 2-1 Man United.
2-1. Matt, what's your score prediction?
I'm going to be conservative there and just say Everton are going to have a 5-0 win tomorrow. Just
conservative market.
Yeah, just Rondon to have a hat trick before half time, and then just 2 goals from Mason Holgate then just to wrap it up, I think. But
the worst thing is if that happens, I'm gone. That's it. I am gone.
I'm gone as well.
I'm gonna find. If that happens, I'm gonna ring up SpaceX and all that crap, and I am flying to Mars. If that happens, I'm gone.
I think to be honest, I don't see Everton winning the game tomorrow. To be in all honesty, I think if Everton can frustrate United like that and get a draw over an ugly point away at Old Trafford's never a bad result for any team. I don't think. In terms of getting to the international break, I think if we do get beaten, like you say, 2-1, I don't think it's going to be that much. I don't think Everton will be that. Our season won't be defined on getting beaten away at Old Trafford, is what I'm trying to say. We're going into that basically 2-week long international break. All our players should be back after that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, they're all going to be back for those 2 home games that we have coming up, which in my opinion are probably more important than tomorrow's game. I think if we don't get a result tomorrow, but then we get 6 points in our next 2 home games, listen, we'll be on 19 points, something like that, after 8 or 9 games. You're going to have to be happy with that. You know what I mean? We're still going to be in and around the European spots and stuff like that. I think the first goal is going to be massively important in this game. I think if Everton get the first goal, it's going to be very interesting to see how United respond to it. But I think if United get the first goal, and if it's an early first goal, I think it could be bad news for Everton. Because Everton can score goals from anywhere now. I think because we have the pace of Damari Gray and Townsend and Abdoulaye Doucouré's bombing on through the midfield this season. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's matched his goals and assists for Everton this season in his first 2 seasons. So he's been absolutely fantastic for us. So, but I think if we can keep it 0-0 for 60 to 70 minutes, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting last quarter of the game. But I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Is my prediction.
1-1 draw. Do you know what? That's what I was actually thinking of today. When I was thinking, obviously, because I was on this podcast, another one earlier on today. They were the 2 kind of score lines I was thinking about. But I'm going to go. I've predicted United high scoring all season, and it hasn't happened really, apart from the Leeds game. So I'm going to go 1-0 United tomorrow, and I'm going to go with Ronaldo from the spot tomorrow. People might raise eyebrows that think he's taking off Bruno, but I think if we do get a penalty tomorrow, Ronaldo is going to take it. So I'm going to go 1-0 United, Ronaldo from the spot, smash and grab. As much as I hate to say it, I think it's going to be a tough one for us, even with Everton's injuries. I still think Rafa is going to make it tough for us at home. And I think we may take, maybe tired legs from Everton, and maybe a Lingard or Sancho or something like that wins a penalty. As bad as that sounds, I think that's...
Do you know what's going to be written in the stars, lads? Donny Van De Beek to come on in the 92nd minute and win it for United. That's what's going to happen.
If Donny Van De Beek scores the winner, I think United Football Twitter breaks tomorrow. I really think it does.
Genuinely, I think if United are 1-0 up with about 20 minutes to go, I think I could see Donny Van De Beek coming on. And I could probably see him scoring. It's just the way it is. Everton are linked with Donny Van De Beek. It looks like we could get him in January. Who scores the winner against Everton tomorrow? Donny Van De Beek. It's just, I think it'd be a great moment for him as well if it does happen. Obviously, I don't want it to happen, but I can see anytime Everton play United, something always seems to happen in terms of Cavani getting a couple of goals. Obviously, Ronaldo coming back and Everton stopping United win the league and all that kind of stuff. It does always seem to be pivotal games. And it could be one of them tomorrow with Donny Van De Beek making a name for himself tomorrow for United. So it could be interesting for him if he does get a game.
I think
if that does happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just going to say, keys for United tomorrow is intensity, playing the ball quickly and stopping Doucouré. Alan's quality. I mean, I absolutely adore Alan. I watched him Serie A for Napoli, and he was unreal. But Doucouré, every time he's played against Man United, even if he doesn't score, he always seems to deliver. Like his intensity and his presence in midfield, he's such a powerhouse. If United can stop him tomorrow and control the midfield, then I know that's rich. As Man United fans saying, "Wow, stopping Doucouré," but
I don't see anybody in United midfield. I don't see anybody in United midfield being able to stop him if he's on the ball running. If he's on the ball running full pace towards United, Pogba's not going to stop him. Bruno's definitely not going to stop him. And like, who are you going to put in there? Fred or McTominay? Like, I think it could be, like you say, that's why I said it earlier on. I think Doucouré could be the pivotal person in terms of Everton midfield. Allen's just going to be there to break up playing in terms of in the front of the back three. He's going to be trying to kick lumps out of Bruno and Ronaldo when they get the ball. I think if you're a betting man, stick a fiver on Alan to get booked tomorrow. I think he's going to be throwing a few kicks at people. So, but yeah, listen, it's going to be an interesting game. Like I said, hopefully there is a few goals in it. But it's one of them, isn't it? Early kickoff, it could ruin your weekend or make it a great weekend, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
look, for me, the early kickoffs ruin my weekend because I was probably too incoherent to ruin it. But hopefully it doesn't ruin my weekend and we can absolutely be joyous of a Man United win. And
I know,
a
nice 1-1 draw, Keane. A nice 1-1 draw. We're both happy. Shake hands and go into the international break. Happy, all friends.
And watch Ireland then after that.
No, never watch that again. No.
On that note, guys, we are going to wrap it up there for tonight. We will be back next week to talk. Obviously, we review the game. Reece is going to be doing the London Lowdown as well next week. That podcast will return next week as well. And Straight for Cliff podcast also back next week as well. So do check that out. And also, I have news to drop in regards to a podcast I've coming up on Talk the Devils as well. Got the news earlier on today. It's big. It's great. So do keep an eye out for my Twitter there at Keane_Franey. We'll be dropping that very soon. But look, we will be back next week, the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. Drop a like in the video, hit that subscribe button. Also, do check out Matt's podcast as well. Link will be in the video description as well. And look, as always, thanks very much everyone for watching live or on the replay. And as always, we'll see you later.